Welcome everybody. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to destroy Malzahar in lane. Because believe it or not, a lot of people actually really struggle versus this matchup. And I totally understand that. Malzahar is a mini-game champion. The moment you understand his mini-game, that's when you'll always beat him. The moment you don't understand his minigame, that's when you'll always lose versus him. That's why in lower ELOs, Malzahar is actually very oppressive and really good, while in higher EOs, he's not that much. So to understand the minigame and how to beat it, we need to understand what Malzahar wants to do in the lane. Doesn't matter what champion that you're playing, Malzahar is going to try to avoid the lane and get to level 7 without any type of interaction. That's what he wants to do. Because at level 7, it's over, guys. He can just nuke the wave with EW, and there's not much that you can do about it, okay? So you have 7 levels where you can pressure this guy. That's why I start this on level 7 here. So how Malzahar is going to do that, right? Malzahar can have many ways to get to that point of level 7 where he can then avoid the lane. And it really depends on what type of champion that you're playing, okay? Because Malzahar is a really weak early game laner due to his weak early trading power and long cooldowns. So he is going to play the wave states to get into a position where he can then survive the lane and get towards level 7. That's the mini game he's playing. Play the waves to survive. Now, if you're playing versus a ranged champion as Malzahar, what you want to do is you want to play push and move, at least push and reset basically. Offense as defense is how we call it. He wants to push in the wave to make sure that he doesn't get pushed in on the tower. He really struggles CSing on the tower. And if he ever pushes and he takes too much damage, he can always just take the reset. So versus ranged champions, he's generally going to try to play offense defense and push it in. Mages mainly. If he plays versus AD carries, what he's gonna usually try to keep the wave a little bit more neutral on the side, because if he pushes, he might get all in, which is also what you do if you're a melee champion. Whenever you play versus Malzahar, you're gonna look to all in him because he is really weak all inning. And if you can keep the wave somewhat neutral on your side, you're in a really happy position where you can do that. But you need to step up very aggressively to do so, and you need to prevent him from getting the waves in actually, because the moment he gets the waves in, that's when he can just reset or get the wave back to neutral again, and he can just be really flexible in his approach. So we're going to start at the early levels, in which that I'm going to be playing Victor versus Malzahar in this case. And knowing that Malzahar is trying to avoid the lane, I'm going to push him in heavily, because I know that Malzahar likes to avoid the lane through pushing me in and therefore getting access to more minions. So what I do is I try to create myself trading opportunities. Every single time that he needs to step up to the minions, that's when I want to be able to hit him. I'm going to try to keep his passive procced, and I'm not shy pushing a little bit harder than I would in usual mage matchups, because this champion cannot CS under tower for shit, guys, okay? He is really bad at CSing on the tower, and my goal is to build a CS lead. I'm not here to kill him. Killing him is quite challenging. So what I do is I nicely queue him here. I'm in a position right now where I want to crash this wave and make it hard for him to CS. You see that he's forced to use all these spells. He doesn't even get that creep. Now, it's also very challenging for him to CS all of these creeps on the tower here. He does a really good job, but he uses a lot of mana for it. And in the meantime, I'm trading on him. So in the first wave, I already got 3 CS advantage, and I'm now going to continue trying to get this wave in. And I do not want him to play offense as defense on me. So if the wave ever gets too large, I'm going to make sure to kill those little creeps. Killing those creeps is crucial to playing versus Malzahar, because otherwise he can manage the wave really easily. And in this position, I unfortunately need to use my E on the wave, otherwise I'm going to lose the cannon. But my goal is also make sure I hit every creep and make sure he doesn't. Now, in the early game, okay, pre-level 7, don't be shy of sometimes taking the E to the face, okay? He actually doesn't have that much damage. Because if you take the E to the face, what might happen is that then the E doesn't spread to the minions and he has a rougher time CSing the creeps. So sometimes it's okay to just stand close towards the low health minions when the little E is onto it right now. You see, because I do that right here, I deny him creeps. So very intentional positioning close to this minion, that if he E's it, it goes onto me, he misses that creep behind there, and it deals 0 damage at this point in the game. So I'm just playing with the mindset to deny him creeps. That's everything I'm trying to do. I'm zoning off the next creep right now, and my goal is just make him sweat. Now, you see that he pops the wave in, because he really needs to reset, right? He's got no potions anymore, and this is where a lot of people struggle. This is where Malzahars usually get the reset off and then avoid the lane from that point onwards. But I know that he wants to get the wave in, So what I do from this position is I hit the creeps, I hit the little void mites, and I stand closer to this minion than this minion stands close to that minion. So now the E will spread onto me instead of onto this creep. And because it doesn't spread onto this creep, what will happen is that the E drops dead because he needs the E to wave clear the lane. And because of that reason, he can't now clear the wave because the E is on me. And yes, I take a little bit of damage, but I don't care because I don't care about my HP resource at the moment because I got plenty of HP. I just traded one to him. And because of that reason, I'm denying him all of these minions here. All of these minions are being denied. And this is exactly how you beat him. I'm already up 10 CS on this first wave. And you do that now for 3 more levels and then you're in a perfect spot. That's basically it, guys. There is one more key thing I want to talk about that a lot of people don't understand. Level 6 and so Malzahar's ult and his Q actually extends his E duration. So if he uses his R onto a champion that has an E onto it, it will extend the duration. Q also works if you have the E onto yourself and he then Qs you, it will extend the E duration and then it will actually deal some legit damage. He can also use the Q onto minions like that. If the E falls onto the cannon, what might happen is that it's hard for him to instantly kill it because the E duration runs out and then he might Q to refresh and then get extra power to push the wave in. So what he's going to do a lot, he's going to use his Q onto these minions with the visions onto it. And that means that you want to be standing away from those minions if you don't want to get hit by the Q. You want to be quite intentional with your positioning. So to recap, few key points to keep in mind versus Malzahar. Whenever you play versus Malzahar, wave management is the most important thing to do. If you have your wave in a good state, Malzahar is going to struggle. You want to pressure him in the first 7 levels. Another thing to note is that we want to keep his passive proc as much as possible so we can actually keep trading onto him. We want to prevent him getting wave states out, and we don't want to play with the mindset to kill him if you're a ranged champion, or mage at least. If you're a melee champion, you can absolutely play with that mindset levels 1 to 7. And you mainly want to be zoning him off creeps, and you're playing and positioning yourself in a way where you zone him off creeps. You can get like a 20 CS advantage in the first few waves. And the moment he reaches level 7, guys, just mainly play the wave clear battle. Now, a final thing to note is since I'm playing Victor versus Malzahar, what you're going to find a lot is that you have this one spell that can clear waves, while Malzahar has so much oppressive wave power. In this case, with my E, if I use my E ever before he uses his W and his E, he will just push the wave out. I think there's an example here where that's the case. Let's actually take a look at what I do. I zap him here with the E, and because I zap him with the E, look what he does. He now gets the wave out with his E plus W. So this is something that you want to avoid because now he gets so much wave push that he has the defense of the wave. Now we can just get the wave out really easily because I used my wave clearing ability before he used his wave clearing ability, right? So you want to be very mindful if you can still clear these creeps because there's a lot of them and your out attack are generally going to be a little bit too slow, especially towards level 4 or 5, where he's going to get extra points in his E and he can actually push the wave faster. Now, if you play the waves properly, it's all about the wave stats, guys. You will never lose into Malzahar again.